guys want to say your name, your pronouns, what part you play in the band?
I'm Dylan, he, him. I play guitar.
My name is Nate. I go by he, him. I play the bass and I do a little bit of vocals.
My name is Faye, she, her. I do the vocals and I play a little bit of bass.
Awesome. Are you guys all from out here?
Yes.
We're in Hawthorne right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from Carson, Long Beach area, so.
Me and Nate, well, you live in Hawthorne and I live in Hawthorne.
Yeah, and we go to school around here, all three of us, so.
Are you guys in high school?
Yeah,
Yep.
We're all juniors.
Nice. When did the band kind of start up?
So the original band had 2 other different members that got axed, and so I started jamming with my old acquaintance that I don't really talk with anymore because it's not cool, but that's besides the point. We started jamming in like March, and then we got a drummer. They're both seniors right now, and we played our first show June 17th. It was our debut. Oh, it was pretty fun, and then like over the summer we got Dylan, our guitarist, and the old guitarist switched over to vocals, and we played one show like that, and then we axed our drummer, and we got a new drummer, which is our current drummer, Kennedy, and we played one show like that as well, and then we axed our old singer, and I sung a show, and Faye is now on the vocals.
Yeah, it's been a fraught process, but we're finally
Yeah.
solidified, stable, writing music, getting ready to record music sometime soon. And I also think me and Dylan, because
Our band opened up for their debut show, which is how I met him, even though we went to school. It was the first time I
mean,
talked to him.
the entire reason I got into music was freshman year of high school. Dylan were like, let's start a metal band. And so I learned metal vocals, I learned how to metal scream. That band went nowhere, got disbanded. Then I joined Dylan's other band because their singer quit, and then that band got disbanded, and so now I've jumped onto this band. Just so much like kicking members out, things not working out, but it's fine now. I'm sure it's fine now.
Good.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been playing instruments?
I've been playing guitar since I was 9. I picked up drums about 2 years ago,
And you're 17?
Yeah, I'm 17.
Cool.
I mainly play those 2 and practice those 2, but I just pick up pretty much any instrument and can figure out my way around it to where it sounds appealing.
I started out on like the piano. I don't know. A lot of people play the piano. I lost it. I was like 5 or something. But I definitely main the viola. I've been playing since I was in 2nd grade, and I still play. You know, I take lessons, and that got me to play like the bass because it was pretty easy like learning after you already know like a bunch of music. So I've been playing the bass for like 3 years now. Yeah, that's all my instruments.
Yeah. So, like I said, freshman year I started out with metal screaming. Did that for a while, and then I think started playing like electric bass, and I think that was like a year and a half ago.
About, dude.
Yeah. So I've been playing electric bass for like a year and a half, and then I picked upright bass 6 months ago, and that's kind of my background. I have like an Arabic oud, I have a cornet, I have like my upright bass, I have like a jazz guitar, like I have like so many different instruments.
Yeah. So you play all those instruments too, huh?
No.
No?
Not really.
Just a collection.
I play, I can kind of get through guitar, I can really play bass, and everything else is just... Eventually, I'm trying, but just, I know, something about, like, wind instruments, and then also the oud just does not come naturally.
Dude, that's my approach. Like, I'll pick up, like, a bass, and then, like, Dylan, you can't play bass. These 2 right here, they're such, oh my god, you guys are bass snobs, dude. They're like, it's like, oh, you're thwacking it too hard, I can hear you hit the pickups, and I'm like, you know what, well, it sounds kind of cool with this riff. You guys just don't get my flow.
Are you planning to like go to college after high school?
The big question, dude.
I think it's like, for me at least, it's like largely like circumstantial, because like I want to be a musician, right? And so anything like even like remotely music related that's like a career opportunity, if I'm in a band and that band looks like it's going somewhere, then obviously like I'm gonna go do that, right? Like I've thought about music school, I prepared auditions for music school, and it's like that would be cool to do. I think it would be a great experience, but also it doesn't really like translate to like a music career. You know, it's very like it's a big bonus for like your technical ability, but you know it's again, same with like college in general. I feel like you know, having like a piece of paper that says you can get a job is like cool, but also like the value of like a college degree just like as like time goes on just like gets worse and worse and worse to the point where like, you know, like I see the job market, I see like wages and all that stuff, and it's like so pessimistic, it's so like awful. I'm like, you know, I roll the dice if I'm going to college, I roll the dice if I'm not going to college, so like I just like I don't even know like, you know, how much it is worth it. And I feel like, you know, doing something that I know that I'm good at, doing something like music, you know, and like really pursuing that, you know, might be like a better investment of my time. But then also like I need money to survive, so maybe something more stable.
Do you guys feel similarly?
Dude, I genuinely hate school and the school system so much. Oh my god forbid I have to do this for another 4 years in college. I'm the same boat, circumstantial at best, but I'm really just like, I absolutely need to get a job. Like, musician, there's no way to just do it right off the bat. The way I see it is no matter what I'm going to do, I'm always going to be playing music with people. I'm always going to be working with music. If I'm like, any way I can just like live comfortably and just keep playing music with people and like be happy with like what I'm doing, I'm like, I'll make it. If absolutely nothing works out, I'm on the streets, I'm in the gutter. I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll go to college for like business. And then when I get that business degree, I'm gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna make the best record store, like locally owned, like most badass like shit ever, and I'm gonna throw all these shows in the back. It's gonna be crazy. All the like upcoming musicians are gonna like, we need a spot, and I'm gonna be like, I have you. I got you. That's the last resort.
The dream.
Yeah, and then I keep doing that forever and ever.
What about you?
I feel like it's like definitely circumstantial. I know my parents like really want me to go to college, but I think that, you know, if we can actually make it as a band, I definitely want to do that because I think it's really fun. It's nice. It's like just cool. Like, it's way cooler than going to school.
I mean, it's just like it's like what you enjoy and like what fulfills you versus like just like, I know, like in my head it's just like it's almost like selling your soul, you know, or just like sacrificing a part of yourself, and like you're like something like more than happiness. I don't know, like I imagine myself like working an office job or even just like a regular job, and I'm like, that just sounds like so miserable to where like I'm sure like I could find like something to live for. But like if I'm not doing something creative, like if I'm not doing music, like that's like, it's just like such a big part of like who I am, you know. And like again, like a part of me is like, I don't know how content I would be like just doing it as a hobby, you know. I think there's like a big part of me that like wants to like be a musician, you know, and like play music like for an audience.
The only thing I could see myself is getting into is like city politics. Like I'm a big, oh my god, okay, I could go on forever about like social justice, politics and stuff, but I mean, just so much with like the city makes me so angry and so mad. I'm not normally this pessimistic or angry, for people who know me, but like, I don't know. But it's just like,
yeah, I mean, generally we're pretty positive people, I feel.
Yeah.
No, because I remember we were sitting at lunch today, and one of our friends had mentioned that like their dad had like rented a house for like $600, but the foundation was crumbling. You know,
exactly, dude.
And I was like, the foundation's crumbling, but for $600, I'd fucking take it. You know, and they got like kicked out by their landlord. You know,
but yeah, just local city. I'm a big like advocate for getting into local city politics, because genuinely changing anything globally is gonna start small, and like that's what I'd probably do. That's I don't know, something my family would be like, yeah, that's more viable. But like they're chill with what I do.
With my parents, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's like a layer of like disappointment, you know. Especially it's like people are like, hey, like what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, like I want to be a musician, like, you know.
Yeah.
Especially because like even in school, you know, the math teacher being like, oh, like you're really good at math, and I'm like, I despise math, I hate it, this is the worst. And they're like, really, you're good at it though, you know. And just like a lot of stuff like that, or like sometimes you get the reaction of like, you know, like oh, like you're good in this other thing, you know, or like, oh, like you're so smart, why would you want to do something like music, you know. I just like, I don't know, there's just like so much of like the like academia, and I think like conventional work that like I just like kind of hate, you know. And I think like everybody's like suited to like specific stuff, you know. Some people like can be happy as office workers, some people can be happy as like sewage workers, and like that's totally them, you know. Like I truly believe that there's like a job for everybody that is like the perfect job for them that they like really want to do. And I also think that like everybody has a job that is just like existentially just terrible, you know. And I think that's most jobs for me.
So how many shows do you guys have you guys played, like roughly?
4.
4.
But
As his
I've
band?
played 4.
Mm.
He's played 3.
As a band, the band itself has played only like, dude, we're fresh. We're
The
fresh out
band?
of this, dude.
Yeah,
It's
no, that's
4. It's
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, like
It's-
Koitus as the band with the old members, 4. Like I'm the
Mm.
last founding member, I
So
guess.
easy.
Yeah.
Kennedy, our drummer, has played 2. He has played
1, dude.
one with us.
One show.
Okay.
We had this most recent lineup change when I joined on, and it's just kind of been like hitting the ground running of like scheduling like as much stuff as possible, doing as much as possible, you know, writing as much music, like just like doing like so much stuff to the point where it's like, you know, I remember like, oh, we don't know how many shows we're gonna play in March, and then there was at one point I was like, I think we overbooked March, you know.
And then that all disappeared. I'm gonna be so pessimistic. This interview booking shows is, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well,
Oh.
it's like it's really difficult. I think like finding a venue.
Doing it all
Just in
yourself.
general,
Just
because
us
like there's so many times where like we know like so many different bands. We know people who are ready to play. And we just like have nowhere to like go and do it, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe not nowhere, but you know, like contacting people and they never reply to the email. You know, we're just like, you know, like you can only play at somebody's house so many times. And you know, it's not the people who run these places' fault. They're swarmed with like small bands who are like,
There's
oh,
so
please
many
let me play,
bands
please
in
let me
LA.
play.
So many bands, dude.
You know, I think it's also like we don't have music out right now. You know, it's like a fresh band, so it can be kind of difficult to be like, you know, we're cool, trust us. You know, like let's put on some shows.
Yeah, look
Yeah,
at all
like-
these cool flyers of all
Yeah.
these shows with no evidence that they ever took place.
Yeah.
I mean, like speaking of venues, like we tried to just say fuck it, like we can't find a venue, and we were gonna play a show at a park,
Oh
and
no.
then we totally overhyped this show that was happening at the park.
What was it?
and
First 30 minutes, like 40 people
Like
show
40,
Yeah.
50 people showed up. There was like so many people.
in like the first 30 minutes, and more people were gonna come, and we were so ready, and then like 6 police officers just show up,
Yeah.
and you know it's all over. We had to go home and
There
tell
was,
everyone
like,
to
there was
go
like
home.
one like old guy who was going around filming everything, and he had like a scowl on his face, and like no one else came. It was just him, and he got it shut
There
down.
was one old guy.
Some dude.
Because we overhyped it. We had a show the next week that was like at an actual venue, and then like we just overhyped the first show too much that like the
There wasn't
turnout.
nearly the turnout.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard.
hard.
It's hard.
There are a lot of places where it's like you can go play there, but they're like, give us $500. You know,
Right.
give us like a
Yeah.
large lump sum of money. That like none of us have, and even if we did have, like there's a part of me that's like you shouldn't have to pay to play at a venue, you know, or like you know which like I get it, you know, I understand like why it exists, but also,
Interrupting Fady.
but like $500 is like a lot of money, especially in high school, especially like when you don't have like a like I know I'm gonna make this back, but I would also say like. For however like difficult it is, it also seems like kind of easy to where like there's like a lot of promoters who are like, oh hey, we think you're cool. There's a lot of people who like come and like junk come, you know. Like there's a lot of people who like we think you're cool. Like we went to like Piss's last show at the Pink Palace,
Oh my god.
and 2 people like recognized us.
That was pretty
That's
crazy.
cool.
And it was like 2 people that had gone to like their first show that I had played, you know. So it's like. It's really difficult, but it's also kind of easy, which is a dichotomy, I guess.
What do you guys think about like the scene in general?
I think like my thoughts on the scene were very like close-minded. I guess like in Hawthorne there's a lot of surf rock bands and a lot of like indie rock
Yeah.
bands that play like at a lot of these local spots. And when I was like forming my band, I was like, I want to bring something like heavy to like at least like the very local scene that like kind of changes it up. And I think that a lot of people like noticed that, and they appreciate it.
I guess like which scene in particular, you know, cause like I know like the local like Hawthorne one. There's like one like that just goes to our school. There's like an entire scene at our school that kind of like sprouted from our school. That's like literally just Hawthorne area surf rock bands. I have like a lot of thoughts because like I listen to like a lot of different genres that are like kind of like based in LA, like a lot of like grindcore, mincecore, you know, hardcore stuff like that. I don't live in Long Beach, but I've also been to Long Beach, you know, and I definitely have like I have thoughts on those scenes.
There was an entire scene that kind of sprouted from our school, Da Vinci, and like it's kind of is like the Hawthorne local scene that, and like that's why we have so many surf rock bands. Like there's a lot of bands like the Meerkats came from Da Vinci, and they kind of like sprouted with a bunch of like other surf rock bands.
It's
the Resin.
The
like,
South Bay Young Art Society.
Yeah.
That's affiliated with Indivisible Arts. The people who created Young Art Society are alumni from our school, right? So like a lot of like when that was getting established, like a lot of bands just kind of sprouted up. So at least like in the immediate area of Hawthorne, just like a lot of surf rock.
Concave, Vlasics, good friends of ours. Those two bands, they're dope as fuck. Check them out. And I don't know, for me, because I've been like going to these type of shows. We've been playing these type of shows for like a good year. I've been going to them for like maybe 3 years now, and for one, I'm really curious to see how our band does against like other stuff, like bands like I don't know if I say Multo, and like Wazoo, dude.
I wish there was like a lot more like grindcore here, because like that's what I listen to. Like I love metal. But also sometimes it's like it gets kind of like hard to like listen to like a lot of that like hardcore bands and like that grindcore stuff, just because like either like intense misogyny, you know, violence against women, like just in like all of their lyrics. Going to those shows, people smell a lot.
I'm so done with egos in music.
We were on the car ride to Piss's last show, you know, and I was talking about like bands that I really like, you know, and like I was talking about like Dystopia, Haggis, and Gulch, all of which I had been like listening to before they became like big TikTok bands, you know.
Right.
And someone's like, yeah, like you tell people you listen to that and they're like poser bands, and I'm like one, that's stupid. Like if you like music, if you enjoy music, it doesn't fucking matter like how big they are, you know. And also I feel like a band like Dystopia, you know, or a band like Tsunami is never going to be mainstream, you know.
Yeah.
It's never going to be to a point where it's like, you know, like really big. And I feel like, you know, as cool as like scenes are, sometimes I feel like they get like really like insular towards like, you know, like people on the outside, and also like people who like aren't like really a part of it, but like are like, I like this music that you guys are playing, you know, but I've listened to like these big bands, people are like, ew, you know, and that's not cool.
It's very like exclusionary.
Yeah. And then also I think like, you know, I mean, there's also like some stuff, it's like, you know, I know with like hardcore punk, like a lot of like posturing of like, you know, like I'm the toughest motherfucker, like I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest, like that's cool for what it is, but I also know like sometimes I'm like I just don't like it, you know, and I get like that's part of the genre, but there's like a lot of stuff where it's like, specifically with punk, it's supposed to be like a very like free thing, it's supposed to be like a very like liberated thing of like just like, you know, inclusivity and like radical acceptance, just like in every single form. But also like I feel like it's like still like a very like male dominated space. There's still like a lot of like toxic attitudes around like outsiders and like bigotry and stuff like that, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to that, like I guess with like the scene and like how like a lot of bands, like there's a lot of misogyny and there's a lot of like exclusivity. I feel like that's why I like where our band is at now, because like our old singer was like a jerk, and I feel like we just weren't diverse enough. And I'm not trying to say like I like the statistics or like demographics of our band, but
we've
like,
covered all the bases.
Yeah, like with Faye, like having a female front woman is like super cool. She totally brings the heat, and I just like that, you know, we can represent like a lot of people in that way.
It's also not really a problem in Hawthorne, because not a lot of people are in Hawthorne, you know? But just like, I mean, yeah, it's like just kind of like everywhere you go.
My biggest thing is there seems to be like, kind of people forget it's all about music. Like so much drama, and again, egos that clash, that create all these dramas, that break up bands. So many people get wrapped up in all this like drama, or it's like, well, what about the music, dude? What about like going to shows to support the bands you love, not because like, you know, oh, this place here, they allow like these NOS sellers, or oh my god, I can buy like, they'll sell 4 for like $5.
Yeah, Koitus is anti-NOS. If you do NOS, you're a fucking loser.
It's too woven into the scene of like doing drugs, and especially like those kind of drugs. Like it should be like a part of our message, or like the scene in general, to like get rid of that and like uplift people instead.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of like mini like sub scenes that like are like derived from abusing these substances. It's in their merch, it's in their lyrics, it's in their fan base, and I'm like, really, you want this to be like how you're remembered or what your scene is?
I enjoy weed metal, and like, you know, like
Weed's different.
Weed is different. One of my favorite records by Body Box is called Through the Bonfire. But like, you know, like seeing like production companies or like bands just like post pages and pages and pages of like addressing the allegations, you know, and just being shit. And it's like even like in like the zeitgeist online of like I've seen so many jokes about like, you know, male lead singers of like Midwest emo bands being rapists, or like lead singers of indie bands being rapists.
It's like what Faye's saying, that on a broader scale and like bigger artists and like bigger music scenes, that this behavior of like, you know, pedophilia, assault, substance abuse, it's been so like just a normalized, and kind of people are desensitized to it, and it's like, oh, that happened, of course it happened, and it's just like so deeply ingrained and upsetting, and I don't know what the solution is, but just like, I don't know, that's my biggest problem with like whole music thing.
I know for me, like, substance abuse is something that's like kind of personal, because I went to treatment for like a long time, not for substance abuse, for mental health, but like I was like around like a lot of people who were like teenagers and like really struggle with substance abuse, you know. So it's like going to these shows, like weed's fine, alcohol's fine, I don't care about that stuff, you know, but like seeing like, you know, like aerosols, NOS, like any sort of like that stuff, it's just like, it's always like really disheartening, you know. And I know for me, like I'm not straight edge or anything, you know, but like I'll never do it. And if it's at my show, I don't really want it there. There's like an anti-NOS bar in one of our songs, but it's like like literally like killing your brain cells into like, I mean, it's like, what is money worth, you know? Is it worth like killing children? I've heard this argument before. Someone's like, oh well, you know, they're just going to do it anyway. They're just going to find another way to do it. And if you're not the one that sells it to them, then, like, you know, they're getting it from worse place. And, I mean, it's just so stupid, because access is totally a part of anything anyone engages in. Sure. And that comes up anytime during gun control. You know, that comes up anytime during anything. And it's just so obstinate and stupid. It's like, if you don't have NOS at your show, people are going to do NOS at your show, period. Point blank, period. Am I gonna break into somebody's fucking car and start huffing the car accelerant? No. Yeah. That's insane. And for anybody watching, like, it's not just NOS, it's any kind of aerosol. Anything that you're like, whippets, anything like that, you're getting high from like literally destroying your brain cells. Like, it is killing you.
What genre do you classify yourselves as, and then what are like some musical influences?
Alright, here's where people are gonna lose us.
I think we all have different opinions.
Dylan says nu metal. I can no longer agree with that.
I disagree.
Well, I was only saying that because like you were thinking that. I'm kind of like
I think it's
groove metal.
I think groove metal fits. We were joking the other day where it's like, I was like nu metal, but it's NEW because it's newer.
Nu metal, like, yeah, because it has like the groove. We like to groove and bounce like nu metal, but like the songs that we're making and we're trying
we're still developing our sound, I feel.
There's no rapping or like,
you know like the 4 songs we have, like Cavity is very solid like in a groove metal, but it also has like feeling of like early Slipknot, you know. The one song like Royal Jam is just like,
dude, I don't know.
I don't even know. I feel like there's a lot of like vague like nu metal inspirations, like vague like groove metal inspirations, but also at least like vocally, you know, like my vocal style doesn't fit in those genres, right? I do like death metal, slam, and then like a little bit of like hardcore punk and like grindcore, like at least like that's like the vocal style. So like very different, you know, especially in like how like things are said, like the amount of distortion. I also feel like Dylan's like guitar sensibilities and your chord progressions are very inspired by shoegaze. I think they're very inspired by like a lot of like indie rock. I know me and Dylan are people who like, you know, people are always like, oh, I listen to everything. I literally listen to everything. Like my Spotify Wrapped was like, it was something like power violence, death metal, avant-garde, free jazz, indie rock, bubble grunge, you know?
Love.
Just
bubble
like
grunge was
the
crazy.
Bubble grunge caught me off guard, like the full range, you know? Our drummer Kennedy didn't really listen to like a lot of metal like before, and so like a lot of their drum beats like are inspired by nu metal, but also they have like, if I'm not mistaken, like a drumming background in like church, and so there's a lot of like R&B influence in the types of grooves that they make. You know, not a lot of 1 and 3, a lot more 2 and 4, which I guess is standard. I also think that like a lot of, I know you have like a lot of like Latin inspiration for the kind of like bass lines, like in this sort of like syncopated feel, which also ties into like a lot of like hardcore inspirations. I think for me personally, I'm always pushing the band to be a little more hardcore like every song.
I think the bass lines that I write are very groovy and like nu metal esque, but they're definitely not as like bouncy. They don't have the same feel, but I feel like the Latin roots are kind of true. It makes you want to dance.
They're more melodic, I feel.
Well, no matter what band I'm doing, I'm always wearing every single influence on my sleeves. So even in this band where it's like, loud, like fucking bunch of force at people. I'm always like, okay, how can I sound like Sonic Youth in this? How can I like shove a drumstick in my guitar strings, but like do it like if Sepultura did it, or like how can I don't know. I take a lot of inspiration from actually local bands and see what they do, especially for live shows. Like what are some good examples? Raccoon Union again. We saw them. Oh my god,
they have so much energy. Live.
Love those guys. Wow, just the growth for those guys. It's like that's inspiring. Groove metal, like we all said, Sepultura, Soulfly. Pretty much those two.
I think you're forgetting one big one.
One big one. Oh my god.
Limp Bizkit.
Shut up. I actually famously don't like Limp Bizkit. Deftones. Deftones is like the biggest inspiration for Koitus.
we're gonna lose all these new.
They were on Deftones before it got popular.
Yeah.
Deftones cover band first 2 shows.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they're clicking off right now, guys.
We definitely have a sound. We're not like above genre, like outside of like very clearly a metal band, very clearly inspired by new metal. It just like isn't like I feel like concrete enough to like fit in like distinct categories of like you can like see aspects like of a bunch of different stuff, but it's not like, you know, it's like I can take like Korn and I can take Slipknot and I can take Limp Bizkit and I can take like Deftones. I can be like I see the through line.
And that's kind of how all bands find their sound. You gotta Frankenstein some weird stuff together. Like what the hell? How are you gonna put Bob Dylan Pantera together, man? Like what?
Who's doing that?
Well, kind of subconsciously.
What are some of your guys' like favorite bands?
My favorite like indie stuff is like I really like Yucky Duster. I really like Big Thief and like Adrian Laker. Those people. I don't know how to say her name, but she made I Need to Start a Garden, the song like The Bug Collector. I was listening to that before it got popular on TikTok. That's so much of this stuff. Like, I swear
seriously.
I was listening to this. One of my favorite artists of all time is Lingua Ignota. Her record, Sinner Get Ready. Literally, I keep trying to show it to my friends. Like, Faye, turn this shit off. It's gothic. It's, like, depressing. I was really into Slipknot when I was a little younger. I really like Guttural Slug. I really like I said, Gulch, Haggis. Arcspire is like a tech death band, like a bunch of others. Pale Hound, I really like Pale Hound. It's I listen to a lot of indie. You can probably tell by looking at me.
I'm not well versed in music at all. Like after I started listening to metal, like because I didn't even listen to metal until like honestly I started jamming with my old like acquaintance. I started listening to like some Deftones and that put me into like new metal, and I listened to like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and all that, Korn, whatever. I listen to them a lot, but like I can listen to like a lot of different things, but for some reason I just listen to like the same songs on repeat, like, and I just don't get bored of them. So I guess my favorite band would be Deftones because I just cannot stop listening to them.
They're so fucking beautiful. Like all of that. Oh my god, Deftone's so good. I
forgot to mention Dystopia. I think I listened to Hands That Mold 273 times last year for a total of 7,000 minutes. According to my Spotify Wrapped, at least. I love Dystopia. I'm like top like 1%.
All right, I'm gonna border myself right now. This is so like my favorite bands that I would say inspire me for how I make music and play guitar. I like a lot of noise rock, no wave, all that type of weird noisy stuff. Like can you call it music? Probably not, but I'm having fun making it. And so 2 bands that really shaped how I play guitar: Sonic Youth and A Place to Bury Strangers. A Place to Bury Strangers, not that one. Noise rock, shoegaze, noise pop. They are monsters on stage and in loud. It's like this guy has like a jaguar and half of its body's cut off, and it's like, what the fuck? I want to have a half guitar. I want to like be able to play shows where every single song I'm smashing a guitar, and it's like I have to still like play with its mangled corpse, and just like again, wall of noise. I just love when music has like a force to it, you know. That's the same with Sonic Youth. My first ever experience with Sonic Youth, I saw a live performance of the Burning Spears, and the moment Thurston Moore just shoves the guitar stick in between his strings and just hacking the shit out of that. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. I'm in the clouds right now. So I love those 2 bands. In terms of metal, she got me into this. Sepultura, Soulfly. I love Max Cavalera so much. I love, like, it's monstrous. I love monstrous bands, you know, who have like it's like an entity, these songs. Roots is, oh my god, a masterpiece of an album. I have to say my favorite songs on the Spit, Straight Hate, you know, back to back. Just again, groove. And that's what I try to have in my like guitar writing for this band is groove. It's power. It's a punch to the face. It's kicking someone in the face, you know? Stuff like Maresbo, like harsh
Pedestrian
noise wall.
Deposit.
But like for me, it's like I try to take that, like probably what Sonic Youth or like all these no wave bands are doing is taking like all this unfiltered noise that like it's not music, and just making it musical. Gulch, call me a poser, but they're fucking fantastic, and they played a show recently out of nowhere just for like a quick reunion. I'm like, what the fuck? They can't just do that. What the hell?
Who writes the lyrics mainly?
Faye.
This one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have specific things that you write about?
It kind of depends. I would say like for like personal projects, absolutely 110%. I have a very like particular writing style that's very like maybe like overly formal gothic, like high concept, artsy fartsy or esoteric, just like really like convoluted language, you know, like very like not to like toot my own horn, but like sort of like elegant prose, which doesn't really like work in the context of like like a groove metal band. Definitely like been like sort of a challenge. Like every once in a while like I'll come up with the rhyme and I'm like not here, you know, and I have to take it away. I think like general like just like things that are like kind of like generally associated with new metal, having fun, you know, being cool, living fast but not too fast. Our band name Koitus, you know, some of our songs deal with like kind of related to that.
What does coitus mean?
Coitus means sexual intercourse, and it's spelled with a C, and we decided to change it for a K because our logo has little fish. Yeah.
I think it's the scientific name.
Yeah.
Our overall imaging, we've done, I don't know how, but we've walked perfectly the fine line of like taking ourselves not so seriously, but also like taking our live shows and how we composition our songs very seriously. And it's like, I think people fucking love it, right?
We have songs for like a 4-song EP plus 1 cover, and then like a follow-up 2-song single on top of that. And so I would say, yeah, definitely.
Big things coming soon, guys.
Big,
Stay tuned.
yeah.
Big things coming soon.
For real though, for real. I think like lyrically, I write the lyrics. I don't even fucking know. Honestly, like my philosophy is like sometimes I'll write something, I'll be like, this is absolute dog shit, but it doesn't matter because no one can tell what I'm saying. You know, so much of that stuff there, it just like, it doesn't matter. Like there's one of the songs called like Vagrant Holiday, I think, and like one time I made a joke, I was like, oh, Vagabond Vacation, and then I never was able to remember it right, so I kept calling it Vagabond Vacation every time in practice. So one of the lines in the song is like Vagabond Vacation or some shit, fucking around for the hell of it, you know? And so it's like things like that, like no one's ever gonna hear, no one's ever gonna pay attention to, but it's just kind of like tongue in cheek, you know?
Yeah. Or Faye also writes like a lot about like real life experiences. Like we went to the Piss show and you know someone had a blunt and we were like, wow, these people are flocking around like vultures. They're trying to get a hit. And, you know...
Nate turned to me and was like, we need to write a song about people trying to take my weed.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, you could make something hardcore about it because you're angsty.
It's just what we want to, you know? It's just like whatever is like fun at the moment. It's like, oh, like let's write a song about this thing, you know? Although it does get occasionally frustrating, like I'm writing and I'm like, what's the song about, guys? And everyone's like, I don't know, figure it out.
That's my favorite part about this band is for once, I'm in a band where everyone's not like, Dylan, where's the lyrics? Because I normally, like, with our me and Faye's past 2 projects.
I kept trying to get you to write lyrics and I had to write all of them.
Yeah. Even like with some other projects I'm doing, I'm just glad I'm in a band right now where it's not like, Dylan, we kind of need you to do the lyrics. And I'm like, no, I can't.
I would say lyric writing is my least favorite part of the process.
Yeah. Do you guys write like together then?
At least for... It's kind of hard to like say like we have a process. It's like I'll write a bar, but like how do we feel about this? And I'm like, that's good enough. I'm like, okay. And then I move on, you know? Stuff like that.
It's just pretty much Faye's like, hey, what do you think about this, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, you know what? What the hell? Why would you write that, dude? That's so... No, you can't. You're forever banned from writing. Or it's like, you know what? That was pretty decent, Faye. You can keep it.
Yeah.
And what's the writing process like for when you're adding an instrumentation?
It's usually backwards. Instruments first, moving towards lyrics. Which is a little difficult, because, I mean, there'll be times where it's like... We'll have instrumentation. We won't really know what the chorus is. We won't really know what the verses are. So I'll write a bunch of words, and then I'll realize that like the rhyme and the flow of the words just don't fit, you know? Yeah. And then it's like a lot of like editing and like, okay, like how does this fit? I would say it usually starts with like either Dylan or Nate coming up with the guitar riff or a bass line, and then the other stringed instrument gets filled in. You know, Nate writes a bass line, Dylan writes a guitar riff, vice versa. And then we put in drums, and then, like, I'll write some lyrics, and then it's just kind of like an editing process of, like, I see how the vocals fit, and then I'm like, okay, like, here's the structure of the song, chorus, verse, whatever, and then I'm like, okay, where are we putting the stops in the song, like, what are some cool embellishments we could do? It's like painting, you know, blocking in the broad strokes, and then slowly refining it.
I know you guys have mentioned TikTok a lot. How do you feel about, like, people using TikTok as, like, a way to, like, further their band's reach and stuff like that?
No, I think it's, like, cool. I mean, there's a lot of virality. Like, you know, you can just get, like, post one video and then boom, 100,000 people just, like, see it. So I think it's, like, definitely a good opportunity, but you don't want to give the wrong people also a big audience, because that happens a lot on the internet.
I mean, personally, for me, like, I don't have TikTok. I use Instagram Reels, and I'm kind of smug about it sometimes, even though it's literally the same thing. It's good, like, in terms of, like, exposure, and also, like there's some people who would, like, never get a chance otherwise to, like, put out their music, but also I feel like it's kind of, like, symbolic of, like, the problems with, like, art under capitalism as a whole, to where you, like, a lot of, like, music, I feel these days, at least, like, in a professional sense, is less about musicianship and more about being a content creator, you know, more about cultivating an audience and, like, getting merch, you know, and all this stuff, to where, like, you know, it kind of gets, like, obscured of, like, the actual music. People joke about, like, TikTok songs of the summer, but a lot of them are just, like, completely soulless, you know, not technically terrible, but, like, worse than, like, pop radio hits, in my opinion. I just think, like, it's another incentive for people to, like, strip art of its meaning and its value and to further commodify it. But also, like, a lot of people discover really cool stuff, like, talking about, like, Tsunami, Gulch, and, like, you know, artists that I enjoy seeing that, like, them get big on TikTok, like, get really big exposure. A lot of people would have never heard of, like, these bands if they didn't see it on TikTok. So that's a good thing. The shift of, like, every artistic medium to being some form of, like, the creator economy and gigging and just, like, this eternal nightmare is deeply saddening, and I hate it. But that's, you know, that's me.
It's, like, honestly a lot about, like, especially with TikTok, like, the content, like, I see a lot of videos, like, oh, how to advertise, like, your music, like, make a TikTok video, like, you have to, like, make something, like, visually, like, appealing that is gonna go viral just to put your
get
song.
1,000
and,
monthly listeners on Spotify in 3 days. I feel like TikTok, it's a tool. It's a tool, how regardless if you use it for good, for bad. I agree definitely what these guys are saying. I think for me, I get most upset when it's like a music industry, dude. I hate, it's just any form of art. Sorry, I'm gonna go off the deep end right now. Any form of art has just been completely commodified through social media and through, like, just every aspect, music industry, any sort of art, film, any media industry. It's just, you have to make money or else you can't do it. And there's also just on the other side, like, corporations wanting to make as much money from this art as possible. You know, I'm not trying to pull the whole industry plan, but just trying to use kind of the whole TikTok music algorithm as just a way to make as much money as possible, because that's how all these tools for any you know, any music promotion or music creation, that's how everything is. It's just to make money, and that's what I really don't like about TikTok. But I also do think it's, like, really cool how quickly an artist can reach people, you know, like what Faye was saying. But that's, you know, just, I feel like with everything in life, there's just ups and downs, and that's another thing with TikTok.
And I also think, me personally, like, I don't really believe in sellout. I don't think a band can ever, like, truly, like, sell out, which maybe with, like, some exceptions of, like, doing, like, some egregious shit, but I think, like, there is, like, signing to a record company or, like, becoming, like, a staple in the industry. There is, like, a loss of autonomy, and you see that, like, with a lot of punk bands. Like, they get to a certain size and they're like, okay, we're done, you know, like, we're breaking up, like, we don't want to do this anymore, it's not what it was. And I don't think I'll ever do that, just because, like, you know, I want to be able to survive. I also think it's, like, no one's ever a sellout for, like, making it big, but you could also tell, like, when somebody is, like, you know, kind of beholden to, like, corporate wishes, you know, or, like, they're not what they once were, not through any fault of their own, but because, like, you know, like, everything's, like, filtered, you know, sanded down so it's not abrasive.
This reminded me of an interview. I saw an interview recently of one of the singers of the Runs, and he was saying, well, you know, they broke up because, you know, they got too big, but there was a whole nother side I didn't even consider when getting big, and it's playing, like, not wanting to play bigger venues that like, Live Nation venues, which if that whole Live Nation Ticketmaster, that whole like nonsense and like just such like unfair use of music artists and touring and like that big monopoly of not wanting to be a part of that, because the last shows were at the Lodge Room, which is a Live Nation venue, and they were like, well, we don't want to be a part of the system that like consistently fucks up and screws over artists like ourselves, and if we keep getting bigger and bigger, that's like, the only sustainable way is to give into that, and we do not want to do that. That's kind of me paraphrasing. I think it's on the Runs page, the interview, or just look for it. But I think that's just a whole nother thing I didn't think of, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I kind of see why bands kind of break up when they get big. It's just another unfortunate side effect of capitalism and its effect on art.
Do you guys have anything you want to add? Like any plans, like shows for the rest of the year that you might know about, or like any plans for recording?
Follow us, because we will figure out all that stuff out, and it'd be pretty cool to see you at shows. If you keep coming to our shows, we'll keep getting bigger and bigger and play cooler and better shows.
Yeah, I know we want to break into Long Beach and start playing like more hardcore venues. I know that we're currently trying to record stuff, get some stuff down.
Big things coming.
Little 5-song.
Big things coming.
Are you guys gonna record yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a quick demo mixtape. Hopefully it can get across how we sound.
I feel like a cool little, like, if we have a nice, album cover, we can, like, make the CD covers ourselves and be very, like, grassroots, like, sell them, like, I don't know, $5, whatever.
I want to play more shows. We're always scheduling stuff.
Shout out Anthony Stace.
Oh my god, yeah. Anthony Stace, the drummer for Concave. He makes these beautiful, hit him up. Pay him like, I don't know, what is his rates? Like $10? He'll love you.
$20,000.
$20,000 for this beautiful
$1,000,000.
thing. Like, look, this was the one that got shut down too, and it was like so
That
sad.
was so
Everyone
sad.
loved this.
The best poster for the most
poster we've ever
overhyped
had.
show, and no one.
Big things coming soon.
Ready? And that's it.